Ask everybody to mute themselves, like delegates.
Can I ask everybody to mute, please?
Not council.
Recording stopped. The recording has stopped.
Are you starting the recording or is Deepak? I have the live feed started. Okay. Deepak will start the Zoom. Okay. Thank you. Get it.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know that there are a fair number of people in the building here, and there are a number of people on Zoom attending this evening's meeting. I would like to let everybody know that I am the only member of council in the council chamber. I have 2 staff people with me, along with personnel from the Red River Planning District Board. The rest of council are on Zoom. I have councillors Vazarowicz, Spicer, and Strang on Zoom, along with councillors Belanger, Orvis, and Sutherland. And our CAO, Deepak Joshi, is also on Zoom with us this evening. So with that, I would like to start the public hearings this evening, and the first one I have on our docket is conditional use number 37 of 2021 in the name of Heinrichs. And I will ask if Mr. Heinrichs is in the audience or on Zoom. If you could just let us know that you're here, and I will ask the planner to put the information forth on your application.
Would you like me to read the resolution?
Yes, I was told you were going to anyways.
Just start the public.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to ask for the resolution to move into our public hearing, please.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for conditional use 37, 2021.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so with that, it's conditional use number 37 of 2021, and I will ask the planner to please do his presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll share my screen. I think the CAO just needs to post it. Excellent, thank you. Okay, can all council see the screen and hear me okay? I've seen some thumbs up, so I'll continue. This is conditional use number 37 of 2021. It's for a property located at 5545 Henderson Highway. And the purpose of the application is to allow for a garden suite on the subject property, which is zoned rural residential. So here's just an air photo on the screen in front of you showing the subject property. It's a long, skinny river lot that extends past the rail line, but we're really talking about the front portion, which is along Henderson Highway. And here's just a site plan that the applicant has provided. So it's our understanding that the applicant would like to build a garden suite on the property, approximately 600 square foot garden suite for their elderly uncle who they want to take care of. In the zoning bylaw, there are some parameters for garden suites, which the applicant is proposing to adhere to, as well as this has been circulated to some of the agencies as well as the RM, and we didn't receive any objections from those agencies. We are recommending that if council does wish to approve this, that it be given so with 3 conditions. The first condition is that the conditional use is limited to allow a garden suite as proposed in this application. And any changes would require a new conditional use approval, so it would have to come back to council if something significant changes. Number 2, that the applicant obtains all required permits from the Red River Planning District for garden suites. And number 3, that the applicant owner complies with all the required conditions and regulations under the zoning bylaw for a garden suite. That's all I have at this time, Madam Mayor. If members of council have some questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much for that. So I'm going to see if any members of council do have any questions for the planner. I'm not seeing any hands go up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask if the applicant is in the audience, whether it be on Zoom or in our hallway, if they have anything they want to add to their application. Mr. Heinrich, are you on Zoom or in our hallway? Okay, it doesn't appear that the applicant is here this evening. I'm hoping I'm seeing all the names on Zoom. Deepak, can I just ask you to make sure that Mr. Heinrichs isn't in the waiting room or on Zoom?
I just connected one person, and that's Janet Martin, but there isn't anyone else in the waiting room.
Okay.
And I've been monitoring the chat, and there's been no comments in there.
Thank you, and Janet is here, I know, on another application. So with that, I will ask for a resolution to close the public hearing for...
Madam Mayor, I just had another person come in, call user. Let me see who this is. Hello, calling user. Can you identify yourself, please?
Mark Stevens.
Okay, you're
Mark
not...
Stevens?
Yeah, I have Mr. Stevens down for another application.
Okay, so Mr. Stevens, sorry, I just wanted to verify if it was you. Thank you.
Okay, having said that, I will ask for the resolution to close the public hearing for conditional use number 37 of 2021.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Do you want to make an objection?
I do not have any other names on my list, but I will ask the question. For those people who are attending via Zoom, is there anyone else that wishes to speak on application number conditional use 37 of 2021 in the name of Heinrichs? I'm not seeing anybody unmute themselves. Mr. Stevens, are you wanting to speak on this because I see you're not muted?
Madam Mayor, I think Mr. Stevens is muted. He's on the telephone and video.
Oh, okay.
Video.
Sorry, I didn't notice the phone down at the bottom of the screen. So can we now have the resolution to close the public hearing on conditional use number 37 of 2021?
Resolve the public hearing for conditional use 37, 2021 be closed and the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horbis, second. Councillor Strang, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, if council is ready to deal with this application for a conditional use, I will ask for the resolution to be read.
Yeah, one.
Yeah.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 16300 of property legally described as River Lot 233, Plan 2711, and located at 5545 Henderson Highway has made application for conditional use 37, 2021 in order to allow a garden suite on the subject property. Therefore, be it resolved, conditional use application number 37, 2021 be approved with the following conditions. 1, that conditional use approval be limited to allow a garden suite use as proposed this application. Any changes in use may require a new conditional use approval. 2, applicant owner obtains all permits from the Red River Planning District for the garden suite. And 3, applicant owner complies with all required conditions of section 3.13 of the Arms Inclement Zoning Bylaw number 5, 2002. Approval shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of the date of making.
Can I have a mover, please? Board Member Belanger, Board Member Strang, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, the next item we have on our agendas this evening is a subdivision, and this one is subdivision number S21-2929, and this is one that was tabled from our December the 14th meeting. So I will ask for the resolution to go into the public hearing.
Whereas S21-2929 was tabled at the December 14th, 2021 meeting of council, and whereas council has requested this issue be brought back to January 25th, 2022 meeting for a decision, therefore it be resolved that council of the Arms Inclement bring forward this matter for discussion.
Can I have a mover, please? Board Member or Councillor Horbis, second. Councillor Spicer, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so this is a subdivision that council dealt with in December, and I'm going to hand it over to the planner to do his report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll just give the council a brief refresher of this application. Our report hasn't changed since December, since no new information has come forward from the applicant. But this is the subdivision S21-2929. It's on James Boulevard, adjacent to Lake Winnipeg. And the applicant would like to subdivide the subject property into 3 new lots, each about 14,000 square feet in size, just a smidge under 14,000 square feet. So here's what the applicant is proposing. It's in a seasonal residential zone. Each of them are going to be 13,993 square feet in size. And, oh, we got some feedback there. And here's the subject property outlined on the air photo. You can see it's at the bend of James and Ivy Lane, and it is adjacent to Lake Winnipeg there. And here's the subdivision application map showing the proposed 3 lots, with lot 1 being next to the public reserve, as well as the shoreline for Lake Winnipeg. At the December meeting, I recall that council had some concerns about having 3 lots on this subdivision, specifically with lot 1, if I recall correctly, with the possibility of actually being able to build on that lot, being that it's so close to the shore, and having some issues potentially with bank stabilization and such. I believe the applicant was going to go back and reevaluate and see whether they could bring some information to council on whether or not lot 1 can actually be adequately protected and built on, or perhaps proposing to go down to 2 lots. We have been in discussions with the applicant. We relayed that information, but we have not received any other additional information from the applicant as part of this meeting. That's all I have on this, Madam Mayor. If council has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Is this?
Thank you for that.
Tell the word he has to.
Mr. Topolnitsky, you'll have to wait. We're not at the application that you're wanting to speak on, so if I can get whoever is not muted to mute, because we're getting some feedback in the council chamber here, and it's going to be a little difficult for us to continue with the meeting if those that are not speaking are not muted.
I am muted. I was muted. I'll mute myself again. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we are at subdivision file S21-2929 and that is in the name of Katalevsky. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this application? Is the applicant, first of all, on Zoom or in our hallway?
Sorry, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I think I saw that Councillor Belanger might have had his hand up to ask
Okay.
a question.
Go ahead, Councillor Belanger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a question for Mr. From the Planning.
Yes?
That is correct. We're at crossroads as to how we were going to deal with it as council, and I only assumed that he was going to go back and redo his ideas or his thoughts. So, Mr. Planner, are you saying that he never reached out back to you after our meeting to look at some of our suggestions that we came up with?
Thank you for the question, Madam Mayor. We did have a conversation on the phone with the applicant just to discuss the concerns that we heard council raise at the December meeting, as well as we put it forward to the applicant to I guess, think about those concerns and let us know how he was going to address them, if at all. It is the applicant's prerogative to either propose what they've already submitted or to amend it. We haven't heard since we had that informal telephone conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a question for the planner.
Go ahead.
Can you tell us what the date of the application was and how it relates to the passing of Bill 37, please? Is it before or after?
The changes to the Planning Act through Bill 37 are affected by this application. So if council does wish to reject the application, you have to also pass a resolution listing out the reasons why you would want to reject it. So that's the implications of Bill 37 on this particular application.
Thank you, Mr. Planner.
Okay, thank you for that, and I now have a question. So if council chooses to reject this application and you say we have to have a resolution outlining our reasons for declining that, that also has to be passed this evening?
Yes, I guess it's, as councillor is familiar with the province passing Bill 37 and these new parameters in absence of a regulation to follow that and to really spell out how council's supposed to go about implementing the changes in Bill 37. We're sort of flying by the seat of our pants a little bit, for lack of a better term. But we have been in discussion with the River Applying District's legal counsel. And what he suggested, and we think it's a good idea, is that council go through the process you normally go through, where you put a resolution on the floor, in this case a subdivision, in the positive, and you vote for it, either all hands raised for approval or rejection. If it is rejected, if there aren't enough votes to approve it, our legal counsel has suggested that you then pass a second resolution. And we provided your administration with a little bit of language on that, and we can help work you through that, which essentially says, I'm going to paraphrase, but be it resolved that this application has been rejected for the following reasons. Bill 37 is a bit challenging because we don't know if the intent is that each councillor is supposed to list down what specifically their reasons are. As we've discussed before, council will often have vote unanimously on something, but individuals may be voting for different reasons than others, or there might be a split vote. So what our legal counsel has suggested is just list the concerns that various different members have brought up, or the reasons that they've brought up, whether they're broad or specific, and then everyone can kind of collectively agree that those were what was brought up, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Kind of.
Yes, thank you
We'll
for
walk
that.
you through
Yeah,
that if
thank
we get
you
to
for
that stage.
Okay, so I'm going to try again here. Is the applicant in the audience in the hallway this evening?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Kotovetsky, can you please come into the council chamber if you want to speak on your application? I'm just gonna ask you to stand at the podium
Sure.
and go through your presentation. I know that you have been here before, and if you have nothing new to add, I'm gonna ask you to kind of try and keep it short, because we do have a number of applications this evening, and we do have a number of people that want to speak on different applications.
sure.
So, go ahead.
So, I took my time, I did my research about it. As far as I understand, I'll still, anyway, will have to proceed with the geotechnical report, and it's going to be at least 2 houses, as I figure it out. And in this case, it would still have to do probably a trench there to eliminate the water coming into property of my neighbor, and probably stop from weathering the coastline there. So for me, it's going to be a same expense, to be honest. So I'd like to proceed with going for 3 parcels of the land instead of 2.
Instead of the 2, okay, because I know when you were here in December, we had suggested that perhaps you look at 2 parcels of land, because that third one, we were not sure if it was a buildable lot or not. So what you're essentially saying is nothing has changed since you were here in December. You want to proceed with the 3 lots?
Yes, I would like to proceed because, in my opinion, it's going to be the same amount of traffic, because it's going to be my family coming in, and I don't think it's going to be a big change.
Okay, anything else that you want to add?
No.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask, I know that there are a number of people that I have on my list here that want to speak on this application. Is there anybody on Zoom that wishes to speak in favor of this application? And Deepak, I'm wondering, I cannot see anybody. I don't.
Sorry.
Okay, Derek is going to take us out of the click share, and there I have the screen back. So is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Okay, I know that there are a number of people that wish to speak in opposition of this application, and I do recognize some of the names that were here in December. So, not that we do not want you to speak, but if you have raised those concerns, if the person in front of you has raised the same concerns you want to raise, if you can just let us know that they have been raised, and we will try and get through this in a timely fashion. So the first people that I have in opposition are Heather and Ron Greenwood, and I believe that you also sent a letter in, because we do also have a number of letters. Did you have anything you wanted to add to your letters or speak on this evening? Heather or Ron?
Okay. Yes, Madam Speaker, I don't recall sending a letter. I sent some comments on the application for the Zoom, but one thing is that I didn't hear the applicant very well. I believe he said he's going to proceed with the 3 lots. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Greenwood. He said I will ask him to repeat himself and maybe speak up a little bit so that you can hear. He does want to proceed with the 3 lots, and he probably will need a geotech, is what he said. So go ahead, please. And speak up a little bit, because
Sure,
you're having a hard time hearing.
Okay, yeah, I'll repeat myself. Basically, I would like to proceed with the 3 lots, and in any scenarios, I will have to do a geotechnical report, because a property is kind of like bordering this borderline 300 feet of the water, where I will have to do it anyway, and it's probably going to be a trench, and probably going to be enforcement of the that cliff that's kind of weathering away. So that's my point.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Greenwood, did you hear that?
Yes, I did. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And I guess if you called into the office, it looks as if you have called in and it just says under the comments on what I'm looking at, subdivision does not meet minimum lot size requirement for area. Subdivision would not conform with the other lots in the area or the local community. High density subdivision, so close to the lake, not environmentally friendly. Destruction of trees and bush and required ditches will harm Lake Winnipeg, is what the comments say.
Yes, that were my comments, and I'd like to elaborate on that a bit, please.
Okay?
Okay, as I said before, I'll try not to repeat myself and be redundant about this, but I live side by side with the large cottage country lot on the east side of Lake Winnipeg, and the applicant wants to divide the neighboring lot into 3 smaller lots, which don't even meet the minimum lot size requirements for the area. And he wants to build 3 cottages, and I completely oppose the subdivision. I would also like to bring forward a number of other reasons to reject this application. First of all, this high-density subdivision would significantly reduce the value of other properties in the immediate area. And another big concern I have is my well. I'm very concerned about my well. I'm sure at least some of the council are aware wells are difficult and sometimes impossible to find in the area. I'm on my 2nd well and it's 183 feet deep, and the output is barely enough to run a household. Now, if we have 3 new wells or even 2 close to the area here, that may damage my well. I mean, what happens if my well gets damaged? Will it compensate for me if my well's screwed? Not likely. And on to my next point here. He's already been in there with his excavator and removed a whole pile of trees. And with all this snow, I'm going to get a pile of runoff go straight from the center point of the high point in the center of James Boulevard directly south onto my property. So I'm not happy about this. And carry on to speaking of drainage here. Excuse me. Drainage is going to be a very large problem with this subdivision. And 3 houses, 3 driveways, 3 excavations for holding tanks, outbuildings, play spaces, etc., or even 2 houses will leave very little room for trees and vegetation, which will further result in rapid runoff. Where's all this water going to go? So I'm not going to take it. Now, I'm sure the RM will insist on an engineered draining plan due to the steepness of the property. But really, you don't have to be an engineer to see the only option would be a ditch along the south side of the property. In the spring melt and during heavy rain events, large volumes of high-velocity water would flow directly to Lake Winnipeg, carrying silt, lawn chemicals, and other crap into the lake. And I also feel with climate change, these events are likely to be more severe and occur more frequently. On the meeting on December 14th, I presented some photographs to council, and one of them showed the southwest quarter tank that is 24 inches from falling into the lake. And I'm sure with this wet spring, it's probably going to fall into the lake. So this lot's going to get smaller pretty soon. And because of the 30-foot high bank, how do you get large volumes of water down to the shore without stabilizing the bank and polluting the lake? Now, in the application, I think natural resources and environment rubber stamps these things because, I don't think the provincial government's departments of natural resources and environment and climate change did their due diligence in this case. And I've asked through the minister's office for a review. I mean, you can't assess a steep property or evaluate lakeshore erosion without boots on the ground. The subdivision will be launched in natural forest, and the runoff drain generated will damage the bank and further impact the water flow in Lake Winnipeg. And for the sake of the neighborhood and because of the environmental impact, I believe the application to subdivide should be rejected completely.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Greenwood, and
I still got some to go.
okay, is it some new information, or is it?
It's definitely new information here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and on the other hand, I hate to see all the trees removed in order to make a drainage ditch, and if the lot were to remain a single lot, I think the owner and I could mitigate the drainage issues at this point. And I want to carry on here. The applicant, sorry, I lost my spot here for a second.
Just hang on 1 second, please.
Okay, I do have a number of other people that want to speak, so Mr. Greenwood, if you could get your points across, please.
I'll try and expedite things here. In the application to subdivide, the applicant compares lots with the property on the north side of James Boulevard to the size of the lots he has proposed. They may be similar in square footage, but are substantially different in other ways. I'd like you to, you still have the information from the last meeting, if you could refer to the map that is on the notice of the public hearing, or to the supportive mapping included in the application to subdivide. This is a drawing of the original development, which also included my property and the first 5 lots to the south of James Boulevard. As you will see, the person who designed this development 74 years ago had exceptional foresight. The lots on the north side of James Boulevard are approximately 140 to 150 feet. I paced them off yesterday. The lots in the proposed subdivision are only 100 feet deep. That's a significant difference. The lots on the north side of James Boulevard are backyard to backyard with the neighbors, which is how planning is normally done. There's also a public reserve of bush 25 to 30 feet wide that runs between the backyards. People who own these lots have very nice backyard spaces. They have decks, they have fire pits, they have barbecues, play space, etc. And most importantly, they also have privacy created by the buffer zone of bush. That's why people live here. And that's why they enjoy their properties here. If you approve the subdivision, you will take all this away from me. If this proposed subdivision is approved, I will have backyards 25 feet from the side of my house. Now, I've been here 50 years. Don't I have a right to reasonably expect a level of privacy in my yard? At least to the same degree as the folks on the north side of James Boulevard? This proposed subdivision is not community friendly. This proposed subdivision is not environmentally friendly. And this proposed subdivision is not Lake Winnipeg friendly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Greenwood. Heather, do you have anything that you would like to add to that submission?
I do, actually. Thank you. Can I go ahead?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Is
Good
this-
evening.
Heather, before you start, is this new information or is it just some of the items that Mr. Greenwood brought up?
No, this is new information.
Okay, go ahead then.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Heather Greenwood. I live, work, and serve the community of Grand Marais in various capacities. My parents own property adjoining to the proposed subdivision on the south side, or as my dad says, the downhill side. This is where cottage was when I was born and where I spent many enjoyable days while growing up. This is where I got married. It's a large, beautifully, heavily treated private lot. I'm hoping that at some point my family and I will live there. If the subdivision is approved in any manner, it will destroy the character of my parents' property and significantly reduce its value, along with the other large lakefront lots nearby. 3 cottages or even 2 backing up against my parents' lot is ridiculous. If this subdivision is approved, what is stopping other property owners to the south of my parents from doing the exact same thing? As I stated before, this will devalue the existing lots in the area to the south. I also feel that the applicant has not been honest. He has previously stated that he is subdividing for the purpose of building 3 cabins for his family. My question is, why pick this lot? Why go to this expense when there are other lots in other developments close by with larger open lots next to each other ready for construction? I feel that this is a case of a developer coming in, quickly building 3 cabins and selling for a quick profit. I have another question. Is the applicant planning on building 3 cabins and turning them into revenue properties such as Airbnb, where there'll be a constant turnover of occupants with no regards to the other residents and cottage owners in the area? This type of development has proven over and over again to be nothing but a headache to ever run in close proximity. The RM of Harrison Park in southwestern Manitoba has already banned Airbnb type rentals for this reason. I am not opposed to development in our area. In fact, I welcome new families to come in and put down roots. I just feel that this is not the case in this instance. In closing, I would like to remind council that whatever decision is made in this instance, it will set a precedent that any other large legacy property owners in the area can expect the possibility of the same thing happening to them. For these reasons, I am opposed to the subdivision of 16 James Boulevard. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Heather. Derek, can I get you to quit sharing or click share there? Okay. The next name I have on my list is Dave Crabb, and I know that you were on earlier. Are you still there, Mr. Crabb?
Well, unmute. Yes, I am here, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
I just thought they were going to read the letter.
Well, I could read your letter. What we were going to do is we do have a number of letters that were also received. What I was going to do was read the names, that they were all in opposition, but I was not going to read the letter because you were going to present. So if you want me to read your letter, I can do that if you do not wish to present.
I'm good with my letter being read. My points are there and some will overlap with Mr. Greenwood, and that would be fine. I don't want to slow things down.
Okay, so I'm going
Madam
to...
Mayor?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, just for clarification, all letters that were received in advance of the meeting, so they have been put into the packages. All of council has been made aware of those letters. So I don't think your intention was to read the details of each letter, but just who submitted them and that they were submitted in opposition. So just want to make sure Mr. Crabb is aware of this and the council is aware of those and they will be part of the official record.
Okay, having heard that, Dave, did you want me to read your letter or did you want to read it? Because it will not be read because all of council did get copies of the letter in their agenda packages.
I don't see standing here airing at all will be any different on your decision than you reviewing what I've provided, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Crabb. Okay, the next name I have on my list is Brian Johnston. Brian, did you want to speak to the application? And I'm sorry, I don't see you on the screen with the Zoom people in attendance.
I am present. I don't wish to speak, but I would wish to register my opposition to the item.
Okay, very good. Yes, you have been noted as opposing the application, so we'll leave it at that if you have nothing further you would like to add.
Thank you.
The next name I have on my list is Stewart Goodmanson. Stewart, are you in the Zoom room? Okay, I have a couple of more names on my list, so I will come back in case he's going to be joining a little bit late. Paul Sherwood, are you on Zoom with us this evening? Okay, the next name I have is Barry Koschuk. Okay, I don't see that name either on Zoom. And the last one I have on this application is Cole Obirick, and I believe Cole was in the room.
He's just noted.
Yes, so I'd like to speak shortly. I think the matter of, the proposed building, nothing has changed. He has given us no information, no new grades, maybe land or plans to do anything. I think the same thing is just repetitive, that this is not ideal for anyone. This is not ideal for our community, and this is not even a professional way to go about putting a subdivision in, especially when you've been called out on it, that you need to bring into some more information for us to even have this passed. I do work in construction and I build houses for a living, and I think it's a very poor job of what you're trying to do here. And if something like this would go through, what's stopping me from subdividing my lot, right? And I don't want that. And I don't want people, and I love my neighbors to death, and we live in that area for a reason. And I don't see a giant culvert going into Lake Winnipeg. I don't see how that is going to help our shoreline at all. That's just rapidly decreasing. Like I have to spend about $60,000 to fix my own, and it's going to be worse if he doesn't matter which way that water shoots out and all the debris and everything. We don't want that in the lake. That's why we have our forestation. We leave our trees in, and the roots will hold the shoreline together, and that's our best effort to stop erosion on Lake Winnipeg. It's more in area, more areas.
Okay, anything else that you wanted to add, Cole? I have lost Cole. Okay, I'm going to...
I think he lost his connection, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I'm going to go back...
Oh, wait, he's trying to come back in again.
Okay, I will wait.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead. I'm not sure what happened there, but we did lose you, so go ahead and finish, Cole.
Okay, yeah, so I'll get hold on a second. Yeah, so like, if you would have came around and gave us new ideas, or at least dropped the 2 lots and be kind of sensible about this, I could see, council members making a motion, but I can't see this being passed because the lot sizes are too small. All the oppositions, I really don't think you got a chance with this. I really wish you would have brought something better to the table, but you didn't. So I think council's not going to approve this, and Red River Planning will never allow you to build so closely to the shore like that. It's just not doable. And with that, I just hope everyone makes the right decision for the betterment of the community. That's all I really care about. I really care about my neighbor, and I've been to his place and I see how close the lots are, And it's ridiculous. They're way too close. And the drainage is gonna go right into his yard, because from what I see, he is sitting almost 5 to 10 feet higher than Ron is. And all that water is gonna go straight into his yard. And, you know, that's not fair to him. That is absolutely not fair to him. We don't treat people like that. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Cole. There were 3 people that I did call their names that didn't raise their hand or anything, but I do see that there's a Mr. Minkovich that has his hand raised. Did you want to speak on this application or a different application, Mr. Minkovich?
No, I just wanted to comment on this one.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, yeah, no, I just wanted to, like you said before, like this kind of goes against the square footage is one technical side. But one thing that I think that property has that's unique is it's a deep property, and I don't know how you would describe it as, it's a premium property. It is part of a site, a plan, a community plan that this RM accepted and valued, and for them to change that value of stripping that one long, deep lot, which someone could easily build a larger house, more, maybe have a big shop, have what suits that sort of area, which if you look on the map, there's, I don't know, 4 or 5 or 6 of these that are exclusive. Now, if we went into Almondale's Cove and someone said, I wanted to subdivide something in Almondale's Cove, I mean, the opposition there would be great, because Almondale's Cove was designed to have those big, deep lots. And some of those lots are big enough that people actually even have running a business on there. You know, like, or a septic business, like it's big enough for bigger things. And I don't know what the purpose that the councilors would find to change that spirit and change that community plan, which I think is valuable. And once you get rid of that super deep lot, there is no more super deep lot. Like, there is no more lots like that you're developing. So it's something that people should cherish in the neighborhood. And I also agree with the commenter there about there's shallow lots, and they're going to have to be built up. It's going to be a real mess in there, not just to accommodate the drainage, but now you can, like you're saying, your backyard, you're going to be looking at some deck, whereas that was never the design of the community. And this council, not particularly this council, but the ones before that approved this subdivision, realized that. So we should try to respect that. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you for that, Mr. Minkovich, but I do have a question for you. I have you noted to speak on another application. Did we get a mix-up here, or are you speaking on another application as we move along in our meeting?
No, I was not going to speak. What's the other application? Is it interesting?
Well, it's actually a variation order, so you wanted to speak on this subdivision application.
That's the only one, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll just move your name down to the other ones here. Now, as I stated earlier, there were 3 people that did not raise their hands or speak when I asked. So, Stewart Goodmanson, are you with us now by any chance?
Stewart can't get Zoom working, so he will accept.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that, Dave. Paul Sherwood. And the last name I have is Barry Koschuk.
Hello.
Hello, Barry.
Hi. So, I was having a little bit of difficulty with Zoom earlier, sorry about that.
Okay, that's not a problem. I did give everybody an opportunity. I let those speak that were able to get on, and now I've just gone back. So go ahead.
Yeah, I've been listening to everything that everybody has to say.
Okay.
I did speak at the earlier meeting in opposition to the proposed development. I own the property immediately south of Mr. Greenwood's, so I would also be impacted by water drainage and property values, etc. I agree with everything that Mr. Greenwood has said. I don't think I need to go any further with that, but I certainly am opposed based on the same reasons as Mr. Greenwood. And that's all I have to say at this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, so
I have one question. May I ask one question?
yes, you can, Mr. Crab.
Thank you very much. I'm curious when the structures are going to be either secured or removed.
I'm sorry, you cut out there for a sec, Dave. Can you just repeat that, please?
I would like to know when the two structures, which are collapsing or have partially collapsed and are very dangerous, when are they going to be secured or removed and be no longer a danger to children and others?
Okay, so you're talking about two collapsed or derelict buildings on the subject property that we're speaking about?
That is correct.
Okay, I will ask the applicant, do you have any idea when those buildings could be or will be removed or I guess reinforced so they're not a danger to anyone?
It will be done after I do the geotechnical report first of all, which probably going to be happening in May, April, and as soon as I get the permits to do such a work.
Okay. Dave, did you hear what the applicant said?
No, I'm sorry. I couldn't.
That's okay. I'll ask him to repeat it and to speak up a little bit. If you could speak up a little bit,
yes.
please.
So it all depends on the decision that the council is going to take. Also depends on a geotechnical report when I can get it to figure it out what's the right way to do it, and depends on when I can get the permits to do such a work.
Okay, thank you for that. Did you get it this time, Dave?
I heard him. I'm just very concerned because doors are flapping in the wind, floors have collapsed, and roofs are collapsing, and I'm just wondering if it couldn't be secured to at least keep people out.
Okay, thank you for that. The applicant did hear that, so I'm going to try and continue on here. Just to read it into the record, I do have some letters here that were received, and I think most of the people other than one did speak this evening, but I will read the names into the record. There was R. Greenwood, H. Greenwood, D. Crab, S. Goodmanson, and P. Sherwood. Those were all letters that were received in the office that were in opposition of this application. So, do any of the council members have questions to the planner? Go ahead, Councillor Sutherland.
Thank you. More or less a comment. At our December meeting as well, though, we asked the applicant to come back with another proposal. We probably would have been okay with the two lots. So now we're sitting here today with the same proposal, 3 lots. So myself, I can't pass this. We were, the applicant knew what we wanted him to consider. And we're just looking at the same thing. And also, well, to Mr. Planner, that lot by the lake, you've got to be so far from the property line to the water line, I guess. I don't know. I don't ask you for whether you'll know this or not, but if you could see if it's even a buildable lot, as we said. When I do the geo, I don't know if what is the distance from the water line. If it's even a buildable lot. I don't, that's just what we spoke about at our last meeting.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor
Thank you.
Sutherland. I do have one question to the planner. Does this proposed application, does it align with the development plan, or is it out of sync?
It does align with the development plan. I'm not sure what happened there.
I don't know either. That might be your next subdivision, maybe?
I don't know what's going on
Do you want the Zoom too?
there. Oh, maybe my Zoom feed. Have we lost everyone?
No, I think everybody is still there,
You're muted.
but you're muted.
It's picking up on the.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Stewart Goodmanson has been able to connect today. Now,
Can Deepak hear us? Are we still?
Deepak, are you still able to hear us in the chamber?
yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we're okay. So the question to the planner was, does this subdivision fit into the development plan?
The answer is yes, it does. The area is designated as resort, where you would see a number of different types of land uses, those being residential or even complementary commercial types of uses. Now, keep in mind, the development plan is a broad policy statement. It doesn't get down to the nitty-gritty on lot sizes and those types of things. That's where your zoning bylaw comes into play. So I'm sorry to rest the council. We're just sitting here in the council chambers. It looks like our Zoom is rebooting people's images and stuff. So long as you can all still hear us, I guess that's good.
Councillor Belanger, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. And I think that is perhaps Councillor Sutherland. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councillor Vazarowicz. I just want to make sure that all members of council can hear what is happening here in the council chamber. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Belanger.
Yeah, just, well, I'd like, thank you, Madam Chair, I as well would like to make a comment. It's just disappointing that the developer, you know, didn't really go with what we suggested in the past meeting, that we wanted him to relook at probable potential design. I think we all felt that Lot 3 wasn't a buildable lot. If this applicant, if he's willing to redraw or come back and reconsider 2 large lots, I would have no problem with that. I mean, 3 lots the way it is, absolutely not. There's no room in that 3rd lot. It's falling off at the bank. But having 2 large lots, I think it's still doable. And that's my comment I'm going to make.
Thank you very much. I don't see any other hands. I was going to ask the applicant basically the same thing that Councillor Belanger said. At this point in time, would you give consideration to just having 2 lots, or are you set on having the application go forward as it presently stands with 3 lots?
I would like to go forward with the 3 lots.
Okay.
Because I will still have to do the same amount of work. And if it's not buildable, one of this lot cannot be built. It's up to geotechnician to figure out the way as I can build upon it or not. So in this case, I might not even use 1 lot, but I would like to have 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other questions? And just a reminder, I know we have been having some trouble with Zoom and people are kind of dropping off and coming back on. It's just a reminder for the members of council, you need to stay on camera so that when it comes to the vote, you are able to vote. If you're not on camera and you're not in the room when it's being discussed, you may not be able to vote. So that's just a friendly reminder, but I know we have been having trouble. So with that, I don't believe that there's anybody else to speak on this application, and I will ask for a resolution to close the public hearing, please.
Resolve the public hearing for S21 2929 be closed and the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz moves, Councillor Horbus seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And carried. Okay, we do have a resolution for this application, and I will ask our assistant to please read it out, and we will see what happens with it. I think council is ready to proceed with the application, and go ahead, please, Heather. Yeah.
Resolve that council approve the said application S2929, subject to the following conditions. 1, applicant owner submits confirmation in writing from the municipality stating that taxes on the land to be subdivided for the current year and any arrears have been paid. Development levies and administrative fee to be paid as per bylaw 14/2009. Digital copy of plan of subdivision be provided to the RMC Clements, and a grading plan be prepared to indicate positive drainage of the proposed property to the satisfaction of the rural municipality of St. Clements, and to ensure that the proposed property does not drain onto or repeat drainage from neighboring properties. 2, applicant owner enters into a development agreement with the RM to address items including but not limited to, if required, an engineered drainage plan and easement plan, and letter of credit for drainage work. 3, applicant owner submits written confirmation from Manitoba Hydro that an easement agreement has been entered into with Manitoba Hydro with respect to the existing and or future facilities associated with the subdivision, and a plan of easement as required by the Real Property Act has been provided. Applicant owner submits written confirmation that approval from the Manitoba Sports, Culture and Heritage Historic Resource Branch has been acquired for the proposed subdivision as indicated from the agency corresponding, submitted on November 19, 2021. Applicant owner submits written confirmation that approval from Manitoba Conservation, Climate, Environmental Compliance and Enforcement that a subdivision application map meets the minimum setback requirements for the existing septic tank, or approval for decommissioning the existing septic tank has been obtained. Applicant owner obtains all required variances. Applicant owner to revise the subdivision application map to address proposed boundary real lot alignment between proposed lots 2 and 3 in order to meet Manitoba Conservation and Climate septic tank distance requirements.
Okay, that is the resolution. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer moves, second. Councillor Horbus. Any discussion on this application? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? And that has been defeated. And I believe we now require an additional resolution regarding Bill 37.
Correct. I believe your clerk
Yeah.
has something
I
prepared.
got something prepared.
Some basic language, yeah, and then
Yeah.
we can fill in the reasons why.
Okay, go ahead, Heather, just read it out. I'm not gonna ask for a mover or a seconder. I wanna read it out and make sure that we have it right before I move it forward.
Whereas council has considered subdivision application S21-2929, the Red River Planning District Development Plan, zoning bylaw, and input provided at the public hearings. Be it resolved that subdivision application S21-2929 has been rejected for the following reasons. I'm going to read a few that we've had prepared.
Yep, we've heard.
A, application does not meet the minimum site requirements of the seasonal residential zone within the St. Clement zoning bylaw 5/2002. B, application did not demonstrate adequate protection from natural hazards, like bank stability. And C, application did not provide adequate information parcel as a developable parcel that is close to waterway, a waterway.
Okay, having heard that, I believe that those are the reasons that we are defeating the subdivision, and is there anything else? Is there anything else that the CAO or that members of council would like to add? Go ahead, Deepak.
I would just like to correct it, see you didn't read properly, it should, and I apologize for that. Application did not, application did not provide adequate information, for it as a developable parcel that is close to the waterway, as opposed to saying, adequate information parcel. So it should say application did not provide adequate information for the land as a developable parcel that is close to the waterway. Did you get that, Heather?
Yeah, Heather's just typing it up there, and I'll ask her to read it before we move forward with it.
I have applicant did not provide adequate information or the land as a developable parcel that is close to a waterway or close to waterway.
Correct, applicant did not provide, yes.
Okay, so I am going to ask Heather to read it again, and then we will move the resolution forward. I just want to make sure that we get it right. This is something that's new to all of us. So Heather, if you could please read that resolution again.
Is there anything else council wants considered added as?
Okay, Heather is asking if there's any members of council that want anything else added to the resolution as a rejection of the application. Go ahead, Councillor Belanger.
Applicant did not take advice from council and planning on suggestions we had on possibly making it work. I mean, it's got to be said that we gave him options and he chose not to do that. I'm not sure if that's what we want to put in, but it's another reason.
Right. I'll let Derek speak to that. He's a little bit more familiar with Bill 37 and the reasons why we shouldn't be, or the reasons that we can use for denying an application. So I'll let him speak to that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I suggest keeping the reasons very broad. And just as a reminder, council has not made any recommendations to the applicant as to what they should or shouldn't do. At the last hearing, they just raised concerns for the applicants to digest and possibly address. So I'd be wary about actually stating anything to the fact that council made suggestions. If that makes sense.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask Heather to read the resolution, and then I will ask for a mover and a seconder, and we'll proceed with the resolution.
Whereas council has considered subdivision application S21, 29, 2029, the Red River Planning District Development Plan, zoning bylaw, and input provided at the public hearing, which is zoning bylaw 5, 2002. Should I put our actual bylaw number in?
You don't need to.
Don't need to?
If it's there, that's fine.
Okay. Be it resolved that subdivision application S21, 29, 29 has been rejected for the following reasons. One, application does not meet the minimum site area requirements of a seasonal residential zone within the Arm of St. Clement zoning bylaw 5, 2002. Application did not demonstrate adequate protection from natural hazards like bank stability. Applicant did not provide adequate information or the land as a developable parcel that is close to a waterway.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, second, Councillor Belanger. Any further discussion on this resolution? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so that concludes our hearing and our Discussion on subdivision S 21-2929. So I'm going to move on. The next application we have on our docket is subdivision file S 2933 in the name of Glowowski. And I will ask for the resolution to move into the public hearing.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for S 21-2933.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Horvath seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, so I will now ask the planner to go through the application, S 21-2933 in the name of Glowowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, as you stated, this is subdivision S 21-2933. It's for two properties actually located at 4367 Reback, as well as a portion of the property adjacent to Novak Drive. What the applicant is proposing to do is to subdivide the existing properties into 4 new properties. So the zoning of the area is general development, which comes with a minimum lot size requirement of 2 acres and 200 feet in lot width. The applicant is proposing to create 2 lots, which would be along Reback Road, which would both be approximately 2 acres in size, just a little bit over the requirements. And the remaining 2 properties, lots 3 and 4, would be about 8.6 and 12.75 acres in size. So here's the subject properties outlined in black with the air photo, so you can see the context of the area. And here's what the applicant is proposing. There's a little bit of a busy kind of drawing there, but I'll walk you through it a bit. So as we noted, proposed lots 1 and 2 will have frontage on Reback Road. They'll be 2 acres in size, which would have the existing house and then a new buildable lot. Lots 3 and 4 are going to be split by Novak Drive, and there's going to be a realignment of Novak, a little bit of land being given up for the realignment of Novak there. And I believe the applicant is proposing that these lots 3 and 4, which will be much larger than the 2 buildable lots, they be kind of being reserved for future development in the near to mid-range. Just north of the subject properties, you'll notice there's a little bit of a U-bend. I think if you can see my cursor there. This is actually a portion of a public road. And, are we losing connection?
Yeah, it kind of did say that, but
shoot.
Go ahead and try again.
Hopefully everyone can still...
We can still see you. Can
you see the screen I'm sharing, or just me?
No, we lost the screen.
Well, that's unfortunate. You just got to look at my pretty face. I'll try to get the screen back. How's that?
Much better face, yes.
That's a much better image? Okay, thank you, Deepak, for that. So this application would have lots 3 and 4 with frontage on Novak, but also a little bit on this portion of the existing right-of-way here, which could facilitate future development. This has been circulated to the government agencies. There haven't been any big concerns that have come up. We are suggesting that this could be approved, subject to 3 conditions, which I'll just paraphrase for you. Condition number 1, that the applicant owner submits confirmation in writing from the municipality stating that taxes have been paid, development levies have been paid, digital copy of the subdivision has been provided to the municipality, as well as a grading plan has been prepared to indicate positive drainage on the proposed properties to the satisfaction of the municipality. Condition number 2, that the owner enters into a development agreement with the municipality to address engineered drainage plan and easement plan, letter of credit for drainage works. If council wishes to place restrictions on building on proposed lots 3 and 4, you can do that within the development agreement. Essentially, you might want to lay out where future homes might be built so that it doesn't impede future subdivision of those lots. And number 3 is that the applicant owner submits confirmation in writing from Manitoba Hydro that an easement has been entered into. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Unfortunately, I will stop sharing my screen with you now. It's back to me.
Thank you very much. Okay, any questions from council to the planner?
Scott has one.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Okay, Mr. Planner, I guess, I'll hit you with this question, the CEO may want to pop in on too. So, the plan shows, and I'm gonna call them what I believe they're called as grudge strips along Novak Drive, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, no, are they in total going to be removed, or are they going to stay on the 80-foot road allowance? And the reason why I'm asking that question is because I'm assuming that road allowance has not been built. And when proposed lot 3 and/or 4 develops or wish to develop, it is also another mechanism we can use to ensure that, I guess, people pay their fair share is the best way to put it.
Right. So those portions would become part of the right-of-way, is what I'm understanding. Land title doesn't allow for grudge strips to be registered anymore. It's just not a practice that they allow anymore. Instead, what you can do in order to ensure that everyone pays their fair share of the infrastructure is make sure that that is outlined within the development agreement. But I defer to your CAO just on your standard practices of doing that. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I
Yes,
could
go ahead,
further elaborate
Deepak.
on that. On this particular application specifically, the existing grudge strips or development control strips that were put in place will be removed and become part of the roadway. The 80-foot road allowance that's been placed there, or the roadway that's there, is undeveloped. Although it might be a public road, it's undeveloped road, and so when the applicant goes to build, they would be required to build the road. I think some things need to be taken into consideration because those two parcels both can be subdivided further in the future, so the development agreement should take into consideration things such as how the property is to develop, and to take into consideration that future roadways would be the responsibility of that property owner.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else from members of council to the planner? Okay, I do have a couple of names on my list here, and I guess the first one that I'm going to ask, if they wish to speak, is the applicant themselves, Mr. Glowowski. Lawrence?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
May I suggest that if the applicant is in the council chamber, maybe get them to sit in Councillor Spicer's chair, this way they can be heard a little bit easier.
All right.
And there's still enough distancing.
Yeah, we can do that. Mr. Glowowski, what did you want to add to your application at this point in time?
I don't think I have anything to add.
Okay, not at this point in time. Okay, and I do have another person, oh, that's for a different application. Rudy Petcow, are you on Zoom with us this evening?
Yeah, I'm here, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Did you want to add to the applicant's application here this evening? I see that you are in favor of it.
Yeah, I'm in favor of the applicant. Yeah, I just wanted to listen on, to see what everyone said at the meeting here.
Okay. All right, I do have a couple of other people that they've listed that they may have a question or they're wanting to be here for information. And the first name I have is Mark Dufault. Do you have anything that you want to say at this point in time, Mark?
Installation,
Pardon me?
yeah, can you repeat that again, please?
This question was from Mark Defoe, Mr. Petcow.
If you have nothing that you want to share with us, Mr. Petcow, I have moved on, and there are some people that have questions or wanting some information, and the first name I had was Mark Dufault.
No, everything I've heard has been, anything I wanted to ask has been answered already.
Okay, thank you for that, Mark. And the next name I have is Mark Stevens. Do you have anything that any questions or information that you're looking for, Mr. Stevens? I don't see Mr. Stevens there.
Madam Mayor, if I could, Mr. Stevens, could you type something in the chat if you like? I noticed that your telephone connection is down, but you're still connected through the Zoom without audio.
Okay, while Mr. Stevens is doing that, I do have a couple of more names. Tom Anico, do you have anything that you would like to have answered? I see you put your name down.
No, nothing at this time. We're fine, thank you.
You're fine? Okay.
Yeah.
And the last name I have is Sherry Novak. Do you have anything that you need information on at this point in time?
She was there, I didn't see her. Okay. Okay, there was just the one, and I believe that was Mr. Stevens. Were you going to type something into the chat, Mr. Stevens?
I have sent a direct message to him, Madam Mayor, and I haven't heard anything back yet.
Okay, well, we can just wait a minute and see if anything pops up.
We do have an attachment on the agenda from him.
Nothing, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm just looking at the agenda, and we do have a couple of people here who just had questions, and I believe that I've already asked both of them if they have anything that they wanted to speak on, and that was Dufault's and Stevens. And I have an in favor, Mr. Petcow, who spoke on that also. So are there any questions from members of council to the applicant at this point in time? Okay, do you have anything that you would like to add, Mr. Planner?
Madam Chair, I think we might have Claudette Novak on the Zoom. I think she might have been wanting to speak to this.
Oh, okay.
No, we don't have any questions. We're fine.
Okay.
Oh, you're good? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just, is there anybody that is on Zoom that wanted to speak on this application and I haven't called your name? Okay, so I think we can move on if council is prepared to move forward and there are no further questions and no one else wanting to speak on this application.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I do have the question that was filed by Mr. Stevens.
Okay.
Online. I could, he didn't respond to the chat, but we do have it as part of our package, so I can read that question and see if we can answer it.
Please.
Okay, the question is from Mark Stevens, 450 K Road. I am wondering what road will be used to access the properties and how traffic may be mitigated given the poor curve on Rebeck Road just south of Shalom Drive. One parcel is to be 12.745 acres. Is this to be commercial or subdivided?
Okay, is that, yeah, go ahead, Derek.
Sure. So, two of the new properties will be accessed by Rebeck. It is a provincial road, so they're going to have to get, I guess, a license or approval from the provincial government for new driveway access for one of those lots. The other two lots, the larger ones that are, I believe I said 8 acres and 14 acres, they will have access from Novak Drive, but as the CEO said, that's going to have to be developed first into an actual public roadway. It's just it's just on the books, so to speak, right now. It's not actually paved or graded or anything like that. So I hope. Oh, as well, I think the gentleman was asking about if this would be commercial or not. The zoning is a residential zone. So if there was going to be commercial here, they'd have to choose another zone and go through another public hearing process, something like that.
Okay, thank you for that, Derek. Any other questions to the planner or the applicant from members of council? I do not have anybody else on my list that wishes to speak on this application. So I am going to ask for the resolution to close the public hearing, please.
Resolve the public hearing for S21-2933 be closed and the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowick, second. Councillor Strang, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so now if we could have the resolution for this application.
Give me one moment, the resolution's updating.
Oh, okay.
Last one.
Yep.
Okay, resolve that subdivision application S21-2933, proposal of Lewoski to subdivide parcels A and C, Plan 31180, and lots 3 and 4, Plan 33740, be approved subject to the following conditions. 1, applicant owner submits confirmation in writing from the municipality stating that taxes on the lands be subdivided for the current year and any arrears have been paid. Taxes on the land, sorry, I already read that one. Development levies and administration fee to be paid as per bylaw 14/2009. Digital copy of plan of subdivision be provided to the RSA Clements, and a grading plan be prepared to indicate positive drainage on the property.
Can I have a mover, please?
I gotta keep going.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were done, Heather.
Applicant owner enters into a development agreement with the municipality to address items including but not limited to, if required, an engineered drainage plan and easement plan, letter of credit for drainage work, limit location of future structures. Applicant owners submit written confirmation from Manitoba Hydro that an easement agreement has been entered into with Manitoba Hydro with respect to existing and or future facilities associated with the subdivision, and a plan of easement as required by the Real Property Act.
Madam Mayor, if I could,
Yes, go ahead, Deepak.
I think to address also Councillor Spicer's questions, and his concerns. I think point number 2 should be added with one more item. It should be applicant or enters into development agreement with the municipality to address items including but not limited to if required an engineered drainage plan, an easement plan, a letter of credit for drainage works, limit locations of future structures, and D, construction of future roadways.
Construction of future roadways? Yeah.
Roadways.
Yeah.
Roadways.
Roadways.
Deepak, I believe you said roadways.
Yes.
Okay, I've made those changes.
Okay, those changes have been made. Do you just want to read that one, I think it's condition number 2?
Applicant owner enters into development agreement with the municipality to address items including but not limited to, if required, an engineered drainage plan and easement plan, letter of credit for drainage work, limit location of future structures, and construction of future roadways.
Okay, I think we have that now. So can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. So it's through.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on our agenda here. We are down to subdivision file S21 2926. And I will ask for a resolution to please move into the public hearing on this application.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for S21 2926.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horvis moves. Second. Councillor Bazarowicz, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. So now we are down to file number, subdivision file S2926 on Hay Road, and I will ask the planner to please do his presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you noted, this is application number S212926. It's for a property located well, it's actually on Henderson, but it's along Hay Road is what we're dealing with. The applicant is proposing to create 3 new residential lots in the agriculture restricted zone. So the agriculture restricted zone calls for a minimum lot size of 4 acres in size and a minimum lot width of 198 feet. The property is also designated agriculture restricted, which also calls for a minimum lot size of 4 acres. The applicant is proposing 3 lots. 2 would be 2 acres in size, and the third one would be 1.65 acres in size. Now, normally we would be recommending that something like this not be approved, but along Hay Road, as you can see on the air photo in front of you, this relates to one of the exceptions of the rules under the development agreement, or the development plan. So typically, properties designated and zoned as agriculture restricted must be 4 acres in size. However, there is an exception to the rule in the development plan where you're doing infill development along an existing roadway like Hay Road. You can have lots that are smaller than 4 acres to reflect the existing character that's there. And you'll note just across the street there are lots that are either 3/4 of an acre in size. Down the street they're 2 acres in size and 1.5 acres in size. So there's a range of smaller than 4 acre lots in this area. On the screen in front of you is the surveyor's plan showing how exactly the land is going to be subdivided up. Also showing a proposed new roadway going north off of Hay Road, so that would facilitate future development of properties that are north and I guess by all measure means landlocked from other types of development. This has been circulated to the government agencies. We did not receive any major or significant concerns. There are some conditions that have been recommended. from those agencies, and we are recommending that this application be approved, subject to 5 conditions that are in your docket, which I'll just summarize. The first one is that the applicant owner submits confirmation from the municipality that taxes have been paid, development levies have been paid, a digital copy of the survey plan has been provided, a grading plan be prepared to indicate positive drainage on the proposed properties to the satisfaction of the municipality. The applicant owner dedicated 80-foot wide municipal road right-of-way between proposed lots 2 and 3 without compensation. That's that new roadway that you can see on the screen in front of you. And that road construction be in accordance with the RM's servicing standards. Number 2, that the applicant enter into a development agreement with the municipality to address items such as, but not limited to, letter of credit for drain works, engineered road and drainage plan, and easement plan. Number 3, that the applicant owner submits confirmation from Manitoba Hydro that they've entered into an easement agreement. Number 4, that the applicants obtain all required variances for lot size. So, as I noted, there's an exception to the rule under the development plan that you can go lower than 4 acres, but they still need to get variances under the zoning bylaw to make sure that everything's in conformance. And the last one, number 5, is that the applicant owner submits written confirmation from the Historical Resources branch that they've conducted sites visits and it's been done to their satisfaction. That's a condition that I know you've all been familiar with, that's been coming up lately. That's all I have, Madam Mayor. If the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you for that, Derek. Members of council, do you have any questions for the planner at this point? Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Hi, Derek. Condition number 5. So that has changed a little bit though, right? Because usually they ask for the assessment right off the hop. Now they're going to do a site visit first and then decide if they need one?
Yes, sir. This has sort of evolved. We've seen in probably the past 6 months or so with different municipalities where you're absolutely correct. They were originally suggesting that a full-blown study be prepared, but now it seems like the department is willing to go out themselves and do a little exploratory exercise and see if there's even need for such a thing.
That's a step in the right direction. If we could just get agriculture to do that, we'd be away.
Noted.
Thank you for that. Any other questions to the planner for members of council? Okay, I see I do have a few people here who wish to speak, and the first one I'll go to is the applicant. Mr. Martin, are you on Zoom with us this evening?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, did you have anything you wanted to add to your application at this point in time?
No, I don't think so. I think it's pretty clear.
Okay, I do have a couple of other people here who are actually wanting some information or questions, so I'm just going to go down my list here. The first name I have is Joan Hinther. Joan, did you have anything, questions that you wanted to ask or some clarification?
Hi, I'm a little concerned that we have the field that's right behind that property and it's a working field. Now, what guarantee are we going to have that we're not going to have people using that as a playground? Because we have that issue right now on the other side of the tracks where the houses were built on Hay Road. We have people going in there snowmobiling, triking, and I have to shoot them out. And also now I see that there's going to be a road going in between those two properties. Is that not going to lead into our property?
If you are directly north, it would go to the edge of your property when it is built.
Right, well, would that not create a problem there, that people will be thinking that they can go straight through? Or is there going to be something there that's going to block it from going into our field?
I'm going to get our CAO to address that for you.
Sorry, Deepak, it looks like you are muted.
The road would, sorry about that, the road would be built, and then it would be blocked off to make sure that it wasn't a driving hazard, that where the road ended, there would be proper signage, and it would be blocked off appropriately.
Okay.
Okay, anything else that you had a question on, Joan?
No, I'm just concerned about people using that as their playground, because like I said, we've got already people on the west side of the tracks that are on Hay Road that are using the field that's right behind their house as a snowmobile ground, a trike ground, and I've had to tell them to please stay out of there due to the fact that that is a working field, and they just don't seem to care.
And I don't think that that is the only area where that happens. I know it
Well,
happens in numerous different
But
areas.
I'm worried now that we're building, if there's gonna be homes building over there, or the people that are gonna be purchasing those lots know that that field behind them does not belong to them. And they cannot use that as not public ground.
Well, I guess I believe that if a person is buying a lot, they know where the boundaries of the lot are, and they should, and they should stay on their own property. I know it's easier said than done, I realize that, so. Is there anything else that you're wanting information on this evening?
No.
Okay.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next name I have is Judy and Lauren Topolniski. I know Mr. Topolniski has been patiently waiting for his turn to speak, so what is it that you're wanting the information on, Mr. Topolniski?
Thanks, Mayor, and thanks, Council. My question that I have is on the road that's proposed, the 80-foot road, and we have two pieces of property behind, going north, which is then behind Henter's property. This proposed road here runs, looks like to me, at 90 degrees to Hay Road. Yes, it does. And we're further north, and our property runs close, further to the east from towards the drainage ditch. And I'm wondering if this proposed road could not have a curve in it to follow the drainage, because I guess the purpose of this road is to take people from Hay Road along the drainage ditch to the north. The other solution to this road dilemma for properties that are not facing on Hay Road would be for the municipality. Now, I'm not saying you have to do this or that you should do that, but has any thought been given to making around a road north and south along the drainage ditch, or where the railroad track is, of having a road north and south there, till it passes all the properties that are bordering?
Okay, some of those questions I can't answer for you, Mr. Topolniski. I guess when the applicant made their application to the RRPD, the road was a straight north-south road, and I'm not sure that there would be any advantage to the applicants, but I do see that our CAO has raised his hand, so I will let him speak to that.
So let me try to attempt to answer at least some of your questions, Mr. Topolniski. As part of the application process, the road location was discussed, and it was taken into consideration that there's a natural drainage, which you're talking about, that's to the east of the tracks, as I recall. And the road was at 90 degrees going north in order to take advantage of that natural drainage so that the ditches of the road would work as part of the drainage. They don't have to follow the drain exactly as a curve, but they can go straight, and the ditches will then be able to collect, and it works as a natural drainage. A drainage plan will be required as part of this, and that becomes your north-south road that allows those parcels to be connected. Putting a road right beside the tracks would be problematic because there isn't, it limits how the land can be subdivided.
Okay, thank you for that, Deepak. Anything else that you wanted to add, Mr. Topolnitsky, before I go to the next person?
I do, yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. The RM does own that railroad track, I believe, right?
I don't think at that spot, but Heather might know better more than I do on this.
I don't believe at that point we do own it. That is south of Lockport, and I don't believe that that ownership has been turned over to the RM.
I don't think it has.
Correct.
And the reason I raised that point is the railroad had offered, at least to us, to sell their part of that railroad, and then they declined because they said the RM was buying the entire strip of that railway track. But that's just information that was given to us by the railroad owners, and I think that was about maybe 15 years ago. So I assumed that the municipality bought it.
There is some land from the railway that was acquired from the CEMR, and that was north of the tracks, or north of Lockport. I'm not sure about any property here.
Okay.
If you take a look at East Selkirk, the RMC Commits did acquire quite a bit of that land. I'm not sure in the Lockport area there was the same situation.
Okay, so I'll just go back to this proposed road at the moment. The planners would know this. I'm not a planner, nor am I a sewage drainage expert, but seems to me that if the road followed the contour of the drainage ditch, which means there would be slight curve in it towards the drainage ditch, and then after that curve would start to go in the opposite direction, that would be more suitable for the future development of the lands north of here.
Well, I think that is probably something that we would have to leave up to the experts. I don't think any of us sitting around the table here are drainage experts, and I'm not sure that that would be addressed in this particular application because they are looking for 3 lots all fronting on Hay Road.
Well, Madam Mayor, thank you. They would still have 3 lots, it's just that the road would take a different shape.
Right. Derek, you want to speak to that?
Madam Mayor, the road location was selected taking into account a natural drainage location. The design of the road and the drainage will be done as part of a professionally engineered plans, which will take all those things into consideration. Drainage, roads don't have to align directly with the way that the land is naturally drained, but at least they should align with the way that the roads are naturally, or the land is naturally sloped. And that's what we've taken into consideration here.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Topolnitsky. I have a couple more names here on my list, and the next one I have is Kathleen Kuzak. Did you wish to speak, Kathleen?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, thank you.
Hi, we're residents at 85 Hay Road, which is just west of the proposed location, just on the other side of the tracks. And some of my questions have been answered. It was with reference to the road going in, and I know where it's going now. But what I want to know is who would be maintaining this road, and what's its purpose in regards to future development. Ms. Hinther has already indicated some concern with that road going through it. Her property, I understand, is right behind that. So why is the road going in?
And I'm going to let the planner speak to that. I know in a lot of different areas where there is an opportunity that there could be further development, a road is taken by the municipality for future purposes, and in this particular case, there are lands to the north, but I will let the planner go ahead with that one.
Sure, thank you, Madam Mayor. In terms of maintenance, once the road has been registered with land titles and actually been developed, then the municipality would take responsibility of maintaining it. In terms of like asking for the road right now, the municipality, well, I guess first I understand that I can appreciate that the neighbor to the north right now doesn't want to develop their land, but the municipality needs to take into account the next 30, 40, 50 years of what might happen, and this is an opportunity now to create a future connection for those lands going all the way north that are hemmed in by the railway tracks, as well as the drain that's registered there. If the municipality doesn't take a road now, and in the future those lands want to be developed, it can be a much more harder problem to solve with houses in the way and that sort of thing. So even though there might not be development in the immediate future, it's a long-term planning exercise.
Thank you for that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm Kathleen's husband. I just have a quick question if you don't mind.
No, that's fine, thank you. What is your first name, please?
My first name is Norbert and my last name is Bauer. We live at 85 Baker Road. My question is in regards to the comment that was just made. We have no issue with the development itself. We're just concerned about this road, as Ms. Hinter was. The location of that proposed road is going to be in the middle of the three properties. Right behind Ms. Hinter's property there's a tree farm as well. So there's 4 acres or 6 acres of a tree farm there. The proposed road, if you want to develop that area further to the north, Mr. Topolinsky's property is to the north there as well. If you want to develop that in the future, you have to go right through Ms. Hinter's property and then right through the tree farm. So it doesn't really make a lot of logistical sense to actually put that road there. We're not opposed to having a road put in. We're just saying, I think we agree with Mr. Topolinsky that maybe the location isn't the greatest. If you want to look at the future of developing that property to the north, you would have to be going through the center of everybody's land. So I think the question is, why are we not potentially putting that road to the left or to the right of those properties? We're not opposed to having the three there, just having access to each of those properties off Bay Road. Why are we actually going through right through the middle if you have to go through everybody's land for future development?
Well, I'm going to let our CAO speak to that one because I know that, I've been here for quite some time and we do try and take roads that may or may not be developed in the next 5, 10, 15 years, but when we do want to develop in certain areas and there is no road, then people are hooped and can't do anything with their land. But I'll let our CAO kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
Thank you.
Road design takes into consideration not just what can be done immediately, but what needs to be done maybe, as the planner said, for the next 30, 50, or 100 years from now. Yes, the current owners may not be ready to subdivide and may not be ready to do any work, but they may be developable in the future. Where the logical place for that road was taken into consideration as to the natural drainage of that area, as well as the long river parcels that are there. It makes it much harder to subdivide more than what you have. With these long river parcels, if you're only going on one side or the other side of these long, narrow parcels, going through the middle gives opportunities to develop on both sides. So when you're looking for future density, those things are taken into consideration. Our public works worked with the planning department to do a review and then selected the best location that made sense for long-range planning purposes. Not for immediate. I appreciate some people may want to develop immediately that are further north, but unless they're willing to build that entire road all the way up to themselves, that's considered leapfrog development. So the best we can do is provide roads where the best location for those roads are, as per our engineering, as per our planning.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. I do have one more name on my list, and that is Brian Washalishan. And I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that quite correctly. So, Brian, are you on Zoom with us? Christina, is there someone out in the lobby?
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
Not bad, how about you?
I'm very well, thanks.
That's
I just
good.
have one question about the access to the three properties. They're gonna be accessed off Hay Road?
That is correct.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, have a good night.
You too, thank you. Okay, I see there are still a couple of people, I know we do have another couple of applications here, but is there anybody else that is on Zoom that wanted to speak on this application?
Madam Mayor, I would like to ask a further question.
You go right ahead, Mr. Topolnitsky.
Thank you. For me, there's a dilemma because from this property where there's one property between this one that's being developed, and I'm not opposed to the development. It's this road access. And I appreciate what the CAO, I think, is that gentleman the CAO of the RM?
Mr. Joshi is the CAO of the municipality, yes.
Yes, okay. I appreciate what you say, but if we wanted to develop, this road stops where it stops because that's the logical place for it to stop. Would the municipality be willing to buy land so that they connect it to our property and beyond in that straight line? I know that's a loaded question, but there is a dilemma here for the future of what you can do when you can't get through. I know there's a right of way along the ditch, but that's not a road. Or along the drainage ditch, I should say.
Mr. Topolnitsky, there are many lands in the RM that are landlocked due to various reasons. The RM tries to acquire roadways that are logical for the future growth of the RM as land becomes available for development purposes. If the RM feels it important to develop a specific area, they can budget for it and try to acquire it. That's very expensive to go out and just acquire land from some individuals to allow some other private lands to develop. Because that's a cost to the general taxpayers. So when lands become developable, when somebody comes to develop something like the lands on A Road, there's an opportunity for designating land that would be for future roadways. And under the Planning Act, then the RM is allowed to request for that at no cost, which saves all taxpayers money.
Is that it?
Asking if there's a suggestion of doing some future development and there's a benefit overall for the entire municipality, that can be reviewed. But I can't promise to buy land for purposes of somebody else's development.
I know where you're going with that. I just want to make, thank you, just want to make a final comment that it may sound hypothetical to me, to you, but to me it makes sense. If you were to buy land and put a road in, then we could develop our land and you would have more taxes coming into the coffers. So there's a downside and a plus side. Thank you.
Completely agree, sir, and that has been the long-standing discussion that's been occurring in many municipalities as to should municipalities build the infrastructure and then allow development to occur, or should development build the infrastructure? And who should pay when and how? That's been a long-standing issue, and it's not just a problem in this RM, it's a problem throughout this entire country to solve.
Thank you so much. I'm still in a dilemma, but thank you.
Okay, I think we will move on. I don't have anybody else that I have on my list here that hasn't spoken, and I will just ask if there was anybody left on Zoom that would like to speak on the Martian subdivision, file number S212926. Okay, having said that, I don't see any hands going up. If I can get a resolution to close the public hearing on this subdivision, please.
Resolve the public hearing for S212926 be closed in the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Strang seconds. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so now if we have a resolution, if council is ready to deal with it, I will ask Heather to read the resolution for the Martian subdivision.
Resolve that the council approve the said application subject to the following conditions. One, applicant owner submits confirmation in writing from the municipality stating that A, taxes on the lands to be subdivided for the current year and any arrears have been paid, development levies and administration fee to be paid as per bylaw 14, 2009. A digital copy of plan of subdivision be provided to the RMSA Clements. A grading plan be prepared to indicate positive drainage on the proposed property to the satisfaction of the rural municipality of St. Clements and to ensure the proposed property does not drain onto or impede drainage from neighboring properties. Applicant owner to dedicate an 80-foot wide municipal road right-of-way between proposed lots 2 and 3 without compensation in order to allow for extension of a future road. Applicant owner to revise the plan of subdivision to include future road allowance. Road construction to be in accordance with the RM servicing standards. 2, enter into development agreement to address items including but not limited to, if required, an engineered road and drainage plan and easement plan and letter of credit for drainage work. Applicant number 3, applicant owner submit written confirmation from Manitoba Hydro that an easement agreement has been entered into with Manitoba Hydro with respect to and to existing and or future facilities associated with the subdivision, and a plan of easement as required by the Real Property Act has been provided. Applicant owner obtain all required variances to meet the minimum site requirements for area for proposed lots 2 and 3 and the residual lot 1. Applicant owner submit a written confirmation from Historical Resources Branch that a preliminary site visit has been conducted by the department. If the department recommends a historic resource impact assessment after the visit, a professional archaeological report is required to be submitted to the Red River Planning District Office. And that is all the conditions.
Thank you for that, Heather. Can I have a mover, please? Can I have a mover, please?
Dave.
Are we
There's Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Spicer, and Councillor Horvitz, and Basarowicz who have their hands up.
Okay, well, I think we might have frozen because I didn't see any hands go up. I apologize for that. So Councillor Sutherland and Councillor Spicer will second that motion. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, I believe we have a couple more variations this evening, and the first one we have is variation order number 127 of 2021, and that is at 5545 Henderson Highway. And Heather, can we move into the public hearing, please? Yeah.
Resolve that regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation 127, 2021.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Boulanger, seconder, please. Councillor Spicer, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, so variation 127 of 2021 goes hand in hand with the conditional use that we heard a little earlier this evening, conditional use 37 of 2021, so I will hand it over to the planner to walk us through the variation.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, as you said, this goes hand in hand with conditional use number 37, which you just approved earlier this evening. The variance is to increase increase the total permitted number of accessory buildings from 2 to 3. So the subject property that we're familiar with, which has frontage onto Henderson Highway and where they're proposing to build a new garden suites, there's an existing home that they're going to convert into a garage, which you can see on the drawings in front of me. And then there's a little bit of a site plan that the applicant has provided which shows the buildings. Now, because of the new proposed garden suites, we're now up to 3 buildings, accessory buildings on the property. So we need a variance for that. We don't see any issue with this, and should council wish to approve this, we would recommend that there be 2 conditions attached, which are fairly standard conditions. The first one is that the variance is limited to the maximum number of accessory buildings being 3. So if they want to go beyond that, they have to come back to council. As well as the applicant owner is to obtain all required permits from our office. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions from council to the planner? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands being raised there. I do have one, I guess, comment, maybe more than a question. The building, the third building that's going to be there, like we said, that one of them is going to be, it's now a residence and it's going to be turned into a garage, I believe is what you said?
Yep.
Okay, can council put something in their resolution stating that that building is not to be habitable?
Council's more than welcome to do that. I'm not sure if it's 100% necessary, just because you're only allowed to have 1 home on the property, and that's what they're proposing. As well as moving forward, if council were to approve this, that's exactly what they propose in this application. So that first condition, they're held to it. But if you wanted an extra sense of comfort, by all means.
Well, I guess I'm looking at it, they have their home.
Yep.
They have a granny suite.
Yes.
And now they have a third building that presently is used as a residence. And I guess what I'm looking at is I want to ensure for the residents of the municipality and for council that there's no...
There's not going to be 3 residences.
No 3 residences on the property.
Understandable. Yep.
Yeah, so that's the reason I asked the question. Okay, so now that I asked my question, are there any questions from council to the planner? I'm not seeing any hands being raised. I am not sure that Mr. Henrik is in the room.
Yes, I am in the room.
Okay, did you have anything that you wanted to add? I don't believe that you were here when we dealt with the conditional use. I can't recall. It seems like it was many hours ago, so. So was there anything you wanted to add to your application?
No, I think everything was on the application that I wanted to raise.
Okay, and you understood what I was saying about having like a third residence on the property, so that building that you are going to turn into a garage will remain as an uninhabitable building. It won't have any power or anything like that going to it. It will strictly be a garage.
Absolutely, it'll be a garage. You mean I cannot have a plug-in in my garage?
Pardon me?
You said I couldn't have any power in the garage.
That would be fine.
That would be fine. You were asking if you could have power?
Yes.
Okay. As far as that goes, I don't know that council would have an issue with having power to that building, but there would be nothing else. There would be no water, nothing that would make it habitable. And the planner, and the planner has, and the planner has something he would like to say. Go ahead, Derek.
Just on the note, Madam Mayor, under the building code, it would be completely foreseeable and allowable to have both power and water going to the garage. I know that some people do like a utility sink or something like that, so I wouldn't want to limit that through a condition. We could suggest wording of a third condition that would, I think, appease council's concern here. We can read that out when we get to that.
Okay, thank you for that. So, is there anything more that you wanted to add to your application, Mr. Heinrich?
Nope, that'll be all, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from members of council to the applicant? Okay, and I do not have anybody on my list that wanted to speak on this application, but I see that there are a couple of people that are still with us on Zoom. I think they were here for other applications. And did anybody want to speak on this application at all? Okay, if there is nothing further on this one, I'm just going to ask our CAO, on the third building on the property, the third accessory building. Of course, we do not want it to be livable, but does any member of council see a problem with having power to it, like it's a garage? No? Okay. Okay, so I think we can word it up that way. Derek, if you could put some wording together for us on that.
Sure, I have something in draft form and I'll read it out if it sounds good to council.
Yeah, read it out and then
Okay.
we'll read it into the resolution when we get there.
So just a reminder, we suggested, I'll read all the conditions. So first is that the variance is limited to the maximum number of accessory buildings of 3. Number 2, that the applicant owner obtain all required permits from the Red River Planning District. And number 3, that the proposed converted garage is for personal storage and not to be used as a habitable living space. Does that cover it off?
I think that covers it off fine, so. Okay, so we don't have anybody else that wants to speak on this, so if I could have a resolution to close the public hearing on variation 127 of 2021.
I've got all this, most of it, yeah. Thank you. Resolve the public hearing for variation order 127, 2021 be closed and the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horvis moves, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, we'll just give Heather a minute to add in that other condition that we asked for.
I'll just read it and add it in later.
Okay, if we could have the resolution then for variation order 127 of 2021.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll 16300 and located at 5545 Henderson Highway has made application for variation order number 127, 2021 to vary the site, the minimum accessory buildings, maximum accessory buildings 2 to maximum accessory buildings of 3. The purpose is to increase the total number of accessory buildings on the subject property to 3 from the required max 2. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order 127, 2021 be approved with the following conditions. The variance is limited to a maximum of a number of accessory buildings to 3. Applicant owner obtains all required permits from the Red River Planning District. And the The proposed converted garage is for personal use, personal storage and not to be used as habitable living space. This order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of the date of making.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer moves, Councillor Strang seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, we have one more application to deal with this evening, and this is for a variation 134 of 2021 on Arnhold Street. And Heather, if we could move back into our public hearings.
Yeah, just give me one moment.
Yeah.
Just updating that last order. Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and public hearing be open for variation order 134, 2021.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Boulanger seconds. Any other question, any other discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and carried. And I will ask the planner to walk us through variation 134 of 2021.
Great, thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is variance number 134 of 2021. It's for a property located at 291 Arnhold Street. And what the applicant is asking is to reduce the north side yard from 10 feet down to 4.15 feet, as well as reduce the rear yard from 10 to 2 feet. This is a seasonal residential zone, and here is just an aerial photo of the subject property showing the existing house. And here is the applicant's site plan. It might be a little hard for you to see on the screen, but it is in your docket. So the applicant is proposing to construct a new garage, and they're proposing that it be placed 2 feet from the rear property line instead of the required 10 feet, and that's 2 feet from the east house. As well as from submitting the site plan, we identified that there's an existing deck on the property that's also supposed to be 10 feet from the side lot line, but it's actually at 4.15 feet, so just a little bit of a cleanup in terms of regulations here. We've reviewed this, and we don't identify any significant concerns, and should council wish to approve this, we have just the two standard conditions that we have with variances. The first one is that the variance is limited to the side yard and the rear yard setback as proposed. Any changes would have to come back to council for another approval. And the second standard condition is that the applicant obtain all required permits from the Red River Planning District. That's all I have on this, Mayor. If there's any questions.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions to the planner from members of council? Okay, Christina, can I ask you to please go in?
I think we have a couple of questions from Councillor Strang and I think we got Councillor Sullivan there.
Okay, I will ask though that the applicants be brought into the council chamber before we start. I think they are out in the lobby.
It's the applicant and the contractor.
Okay.
You could just have a seat here, please.
Hi there. We just asked you to sit there so it's a little bit easier for everybody to hear rather than at the podium. So basically what has happened is we've moved into the variation board, and the planner has gone through your application.
And I asked if there were any questions from council members. There were a couple of questions, so I'm gonna get them to ask their questions of the planner, and then we'll turn it over to yourself, so. Okay, who had their hand up? I believe it was Councillor Strang. Go ahead, Sandra.
Thank you. I just have a question. Was a variance already given for the deck, since it is in close range also to what the application for the other building is?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Okay, so there was never a variation for the 4.15 feet at the corner of the deck?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, and who else had a question? Was it Councillor Sutherland?
So,
Yes, could you go back to the plan again? What was the variance was for the backyard? 4 feet?
that's
Or was it the side yard?
just
For the garage?
for sure.
Distance?
Do you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first variance is for the new garage. That'll be 2 feet from the rear, which is where my cursor is. You can see that. And I'm sure the applicant will speak to this, but in their letter, they noted they wanted a little bit more room on the lot to maneuver vehicles around. And then the second variance is down here for the existing deck. That's just over 4 feet from the property line, so just a little cleanup there.
Okay, yeah, I had things mixed up. I thought it was the 4 feet was on the side property line where the garage is, because I saw 6 feet.
Okay.
Got it now. Everything's straight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and Councillor Strang, that 4 feet that you were asking about, the corner of the deck, I believe that they're going to have that corrected now? Or did I misunderstand?
That was identified when the applicant submitted their application, so it's going to be corrected now. It's an
Yes, it will
existing
be
deck.
corrected
Yeah.
now on an existing deck.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from council?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, just on the deck.
That's okay.
This is one of those scenarios where I know council's familiar with, where a deck is an accessory building and can usually be closer to a property line, but when it's attached to a house, it becomes part of the whole house that the normal house setbacks apply. So there's no wall, there's no actual structure, it's just a deck. I'm just kind of cleaning it up there. So.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, the question I have is where that proposed garage is, that is how far is that from the high water mark? Because I'm assuming that's the lake end of your property.
No, I'm not on the lake.
You're not on the lake,
No.
You're on the other side.
I'm on the
Okay.
other side, in fact, I have no water table line at all.
Okay.
I'm up so high.
Okay, perfect. Anything else?
Scott.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So, I'm looking at the site plan, and I see a 1.3 foot side yard on the tarp concept. So shouldn't that be getting dealt with?
The applicant's indicated that that's going to be removed.
Oh, sorry, I missed that on the side, thank you.
It's quite all right.
I apologize.
No problem. Was there anything else you wanted to add to your application this evening?
I don't think so, no.
No?
No.
Okay. Okay, if council is ready to deal with it, if there are no further questions, I see a hand there. Is somebody's hand up or is that somebody's cursor?
That's the cursor.
That's the cursor, okay. So if there are no further questions from council, there is nobody else here to make representation on this application. I will ask Heather to please read a resolution to close the public hearing.
Who's that last person? Is it Lauren?
Which one?
Mr. Topolinsky.
That's Mr. Topolinsky.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
who that is.
Yeah.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order number 134, 2021 be closed and the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Horbis seconds. Any discussion?
Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Council being ready to deal with this application, I will ask Heather to please read the resolution for this one.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 640250 legally described as lot 12, plan 19341 and located at 291 Arnold Street, has made application for variation order number 134, 2021 to vary the side yard main for a single-family dwelling 10-foot minimum to a side yard main for single-family dwelling 4.15 feet minimum. From rear yard accessory for an accessory building 10-foot minimum to rear yard accessory for an accessory building 2 feet from the east trough. The purpose is to reduce the minimum required side yard for the main structure cottage on the subject property within the SR seasonal residential zone, and also to vary the rear yard for proposed detached garage. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order 134, 2021 be approved with the following conditions. 1, this variance is limited to allow a side yard setback of 4.15 feet minimum for the existing dwelling and a 2-foot rear yard setback for the proposed detached accessory building as proposed within the submitted site plan and this application. Any changes in use, further additions, and/or replacement may require a new variance approval. 2, applicant owner obtains all required permits from the Red River Planning District. This order shall expire if not acted upon within the 12 months of the date of making.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Horgus seconds. Any further questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you all very much for this evening. It's been a bit of a tough go. We actually started at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and our planning started at 6, so we've been here for a while. So I'm going to take just a couple-minute break so that the planners can pack up and leave if they so wish. And Derek is saying he has something else he would like to share with us.
Yeah, not to take up too much of your time, Madam Chair. Thank you for that. I just you met him this evening. Just for those who are at home on council, I just want to introduce to my right is Mr. Santan Singh. He's one of our new community planners with the Red River Planning District, and he's becoming familiar with St. Clements and working on files, and I think you're going to see a lot more of him here in council. We stole Santan from the province, so he's quite familiar with processes and doing subdivisions and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to be in good hands going into the future.
Okay, and I'm not sure that, can everyone see? Yeah, that's how it is. I was kind of wondering about that. Okay, thank you for that, Derek. I never even thought of that. So thank you for your patience this evening. It's been a long, tough go here today. So Scott, are you just waving, or do you have something you'd like to share?
I thought Derek was going to say we stole him from soccer.
Oh. Okay, so with that, I'm just going to take 2 minutes so that we can, Derek and Santan can leave, and we can get a little organized to go back into our regular meetings. So
I'm just going to.
Okay, so ours is approved?
Yours is approved. Yes, you're done. You're very welcome.
Yeah.